Hi guys, and welcome to a special edition podcast. Normally we are focusing on top 5 Champions League, but we thought we'd lend an olive branch and kind of look down the table a little tonight towards our fellow East Midlanders from Blue Tinted Glasses. Welcome to a preview of Forest versus Leicester. Had to get the first jab in. Guys, hope you're doing... Wait, who's hosting this? Are we hosting you? We're both hosting. Yeah?
You take the reins, mate. You take the reins. You're at the top.
I suppose we are higher up the table in the bigger club, so it makes sense. Guys, welcome. Forest obviously taking on Leicester this weekend. We had to do it with our good mates over at Blue Tinted Glasses because, like, Chappie's retired now, innit? Now that Vardy's leaving, Chappie's looking for places in MLS maybe and stuff like that, figuring out his next club. So, I hope you guys are doing well.
Retire, isn't it?
Huh?
A bit weird that they both retire at the same time. It makes you wonder.
It's a little weird, isn't it? It's a little weird.
Person?
New US trade deal today, so maybe Chappie's working on his visa to go over there.
Oh, he's going to get some proper tariff percentage increases, isn't he?
10%'s not a big enough tariff for Chappie.
Guys, we're on both channels, so if you're watching over on FFTV, make sure you subscribe to the boys over at Blue Tinted Glasses. The link is in that blue bit in the title. Also, it will come up there on the left-hand side or right-hand side, depending on where it is for your screen. You can scan the QR code. That'll take you straight to there. I'm assuming as well, Locks is going to kind of give the same message for his boys.
Yeah, obviously your at whatever you call it on YouTube, that's in the title on ours as well. So yeah, go and subscribe. Although when you send people over to mine on a watch along, Wolfie, what they do is they subscribe so they can comment and then they unsubscribe straight away. So yeah,
I can only lead the horse to water, mate. It's then down to you to entertain them. What can I say? Mate?
Does this mean that we've got two lots of chats going on as well at the same time?
I've got them both here. I'll bring them both up. So I'll focus mainly on the positive ones for Forest and then the negative ones. But yeah, we got Scarlett over on your channel. We got the Footy Pundit over on ours. I think you guys can all see them both, can't you? Anything with that little kind of link thing is over from your guys. So you're missing Chappie's banter already. I know these guys aren't as good as Chappie, right? But like it's a bit like their team, right? They just
I've got Manny's my pit bull down here, so that's why I brought him along. So he
no, I'm not.
You are.
You're my wife.
All right, Joe, watch your mouth, Joe, right? Just because you're now promoted and replacing Leicester, you're swapping tokens.
Joe's back.
Yeah, Joe's back, man. Suddenly he's found some chest from nowhere, right? And he's starting to talk all this crap, literally messaging me while... Who were we losing to the other day, Anne? Brentford.
Could be anybody.
Brentford. I know, there's been quite a few lately. So, yeah, Joe, just you worry about next season, mate. You worry about next season. I ain't in the mud with them. Don't put us in there. Evening, James. Evening, Gripper. What a week it's been. Shout out to
Joe's getting excited over Beto, by the way. I mean...
Beto? What, Everton Beto?
Yeah, he's getting excited
Standards,
over Beto.
Man. Remember when they had, like, Viduka, Harry Kewell, proper players, man? Hasselbank, yeah.
Tony Yeboah.
Yeboah, mate. Yeboah.
Alan Clark, Peter Lorimer.
And someone else in the mud. Good old Jackie boy, man. What are you saying? Costing us. He's deluded enough to think you're going to win this weekend, right? I just don't get it. Anyway, we're going to get into it all. Make sure you subscribe to Joe. Make sure you subscribe to Jack. Make sure you subscribe to everyone because, you will need to maybe keep an eye on what's happening with Derby next season. They'll be covering it over on Blue Tinted Glasses when they're playing them next year. So that will be the way we get our information on it. Yeah, fuck you, Joe. Fuck you, bro. All right. Let's start, boys. Let's start. I mean, what we saying here, right? Is I want to know one thing. Are you guys playing for anything this weekend? Like, what's on the line for you guys? What?
We are playing for Mr. Jamie Vardy. That's what we're playing for.
No, we're not.
Goal off. Yes, we are, man.
No, we're not.
Well, yes, we are. What do you mean we're not? We're playing for Vards.
That is the sideshow this weekend. That's the sideshow. That's the sideshow. Let's face it. Vardy's still got time to get his number 200, but to stack your guys' Champions League, you've waited. What was it, like Frank Clark, since the last time you finished in the top 4 or something? What's that, 95 or something? Yeah, you've waited all this time, and for a relegated Leicester, not just that, the worst Premier League Leicester ever, to stack your Champions League would be beyond funny. It would be beyond.
Too excited. Don't get yourself too excited because you know it could come crashing down.
Let me enjoy it until the game starts, at least. All right, then you can have a laugh.
Assuming that you're going to win and how glorious it's going to be. The problem is, you've got to actually win to get that glory. And that's where the issue is.
Yeah, but
we were really worried at one point that this game would be the game that relegates us and the game that you get Champions League. So thankfully, that's all on our side. That's all
you were worse than we imagined.
Yeah, now it's just the game where we do get Champions League, bro. You've already been relegated, so I don't know how that's much better for you.
It's much better. It's much better. I had visions of Steve Cooper in the stands of the City ground with a smirk on his face. Oh,
Agent Cooper. There was a serious point I made to Wolfie before your Brentford game with him, and I said, look, we were in this scenario under Brendan 2 seasons in a row, so we know what it's like to be competing, and actually we had a 9-point lead on Chelsea with 9 games to go, so it's not totally dissimilar to the situation you boys were in, recently, and we found ways to drop points that we shouldn't drop points. And Wolfie was getting smug before the Brentford game. Yeah, win tonight and it's all over, bro. Yeah, hilarious. And what did I warn you? I said, never, ever get too cocky in this game. Stay humble, as the great Erling Haaland would tell you. Stay humble. If you stay humble, you'll win. If you get too cocky, football's going to teach you a lesson.
Okay, right. Firstly, Manny, right, your memory is very short, bro. Because we did a stream once you got rid of Cooper and you got... what's his name? Van Nistelrooy in. And I sat there with you and you were like, what are your thoughts on Van Nistelrooy? I was like, bro, I'm not seeing it. I was like, I'm not seeing this one. You could have got someone better, maybe with some Prem experience or a Will Still or something like that. You're like, yeah, but it doesn't really matter with our squad. We're safe anyway.
That's not quite true.
Did you see Van Nistelrooy in
Holland?
And
the Oscar goes to...
Yeah, Manny, don't let lying destroy the argument.
Yeah. Look, do you know what? All right, I'm honest. Wolfie was bang on. He told me, don't get carried away with Van Nistelrooy. You've had a little manager bump. Don't get excited. I don't see anything too amazing. And he was proved 100% right. That doesn't mean...
surely you've got to wonder. You must at least wonder whether it would have been horrible. But there again, what you've had is horrible. Whether you would have been better off sticking with Cooper, whether he could have saved.
No.
Oh, come on, man. You don't even believe what you're saying.
You must at least wonder that. Because
this is what we keep getting.
Than you are now.
Yeah. Well, this is what we keep getting on our streams from the Cooper lovers in the Forest fan base. You should have stuck with Cooper, or this serves you right for sacking Cooper, and all of this. I mean, it was the right decision. It was just we somehow found somebody a lot worse than him. That's the problem.
Actually, I agree with what you're saying. It was the right decision, but you needed to improve on it. That's what went wrong.
Yeah, and we got worse. Yeah, and we got worse. He was. Yeah, I mean, it's as bad as it could have possibly gone with Ruud van Nistelrooy. It has gone down that route. Yeah, it's shocking.
It's interesting,
we know all about it. It's like with us, our first year, I said, I don't care. I don't care how bad we are. I don't care how poorly we play. I don't care how boring it is to watch. If we can stay up by the skins of our teeth, then job's done. But the next season, we've got to start playing some football. And obviously we didn't. So for me, it was a no-brainer. But that first season, and I feel that that's how you could have been with Cooper, no matter how bad it was, if you'd have just stayed up somehow. Because that first season is a killer, isn't it? I mean, the three guys that are coming up, I don't have any confidence in any of them staying up next season.
Yeah, Joe.
Look, the truth is, English bias extends to beyond players, right? Everybody's raving about Jack Grealish, load of rubbish. That's just the extreme example, and it goes to English managers. Oh, Gary O'Neill, what a great job he's doing at Bournemouth. He gets sacked, and then we see what an actual really good job is. Gary O'Neill's doing a great job at Wolves, and then he gets sacked, and we see what the new manager is. Steve Cooper is doing a good job at Forest. He gets stacked, and look what happened.
Manny, stop. He's
close enough. English, well, same thing.
He's Welsh.
He's as Welsh as Locks is.
You know. Oh, fuck off. No.
All right, let's address this Cooper thing, because I don't want to talk about it all night, because I'll get all these C-nuts coming at me saying, Cooper bashing, right? So let's just get it done, out the way. So if you're a Cooper, right, or whatever, cover your ears for a couple of minutes, right? We'll discuss it, and then we'll move on. All I'll say on Cooper is that he wasn't good enough for the Premier League. I think he showed that to me in the second season at Forest, and to be honest, a lot in the first season. And I think for Leicester, he showed that, because I saw no different from what he was doing at Forest at Leicester. But for me, the thing I don't hear the Leicester crowd talking about enough, or the Cooperites from our end, is his transfer window was absolutely shocking, and that's ruined your season. Even if you brought Pep in tomorrow, man, or after Cooper, he would have saved you that transfer window. 20 mil for Skip.
And what we've learned a lot since then, you know, in recent weeks, is that the manager at Leicester City has a massive say in what players come in the door. So I mean, you knew it as soon as you saw Jordan Ayew rock up, right? You saw it. He's got to be on the Ayew family payroll or something like that. But yeah, I mean, Manny loves to speak about recruitment, and no, it wasn't a really shit window. Like, we still picked up a couple of players. I mean, Bilal El Khanou's great talent. Even Facundo Buonanotte, there's a player in there on loan. That's a decent loan signing. But Ayew, Bobby Reed, Ollie Skip for 20 million.
Oh my God.
He was architect.
Dorver Reed, man. What?
He was architect of his own downfall, right? He was brought in partially, not just because he did a job with you guys, but because he was England under, was it 21s, was he? Or 19s or something, manager? 17s. Oh, yeah, he won the World Cup with him, didn't he? With Phil Foden and Sancho. So that was a part on his CV. Very proudly won the under-17 World Cup. Does very well with youth. Well, when we gave him to players to choose, the three players that he brought were Skip, 23, so okay, youth-ish. Although I'm still debating.
He's only 23.
I'm still debating that 23. Locks and I know that they got those numbers.
About Ant's age, man.
They got the numbers the wrong way around. That's what we joke about.
No, he's not 30, is he? Come on.
And then he bought Ayew and Cordova Reed. That was his influence. Was it anything from these under-17 World Cup winning team or the next great thing? And then he actually played them. So imagine this. Imagine this. You get promoted as a championship team and you have a pretty solid team that does it. So Mavropanos our left wing and he's our second top scorer, scored, I think, 14 or 15 in the championship from left wing. Start of the season, Bobby Cordova's been in the room for 2 weeks, gets the start first day of the season over the guy that got you promoted. His management was terrible. His player selection was terrible. His PR was terrible. And yeah, I mean, everything about it was pretty terrible.
What about Ricardo? What's his face, man? What happened to him under Cooper?
Ricardo got dropped. He dropped Fatawu for Jordan Ayew. Imagine it. Fatawu is a genuine bona fide on his way to being a Champions League star for somebody somewhere, and he drops him for Jordan Ayew. I mean, what? The best thing was, he said, I watched all 46 games of Leicester last season in a month. I watched all of them in detail, and I saw what was working, and we're just going to try and improve on it. If you mean by improving on it is getting rid of the best elements of it and replacing it with absolute rubbish, then that's why he only lasted 12 games.
Yeah,
I gotta say though, Jack was a bit of a Cooper Happy clapper. I ain't gonna lie, Jack.
Mate, I think who did we play in the cup, Manny? Somebody in the comments will say we played someone in the cup in September.
What was it? Walsall.
Yeah.
Penalties.
Imagine this.
You went to penalties. Right? Ward, your saviour.
So, imagine he comes in July, and by September, you've got a fan running on the pitch, giving him shit in the dugout, like stood on the pitch, swearing at him. The fans were singing, Cooper, you don't know what you're doing. We went to penalties, didn't we, Manny? We went to penalties against Walsall.
Ward.
Yeah. Danny Ward.
And it's always like the grass is always greener. People forget. Go on.
I was going to say, lucky for you, like you've moved on and got yourself a brand new manager, haven't you? So you must be happy anyway. So.
Only Leicester can find someone worse.
That was that. Yeah. We were right to sack him, but it's obviously the appointment didn't quite work. Ruud, to be fair, got a little bit unlucky that he started off with a win and a draw, and then immediately Mads Hermansen and Ndidi get injured for like 8 games, and that's when the bad run starts. Also, they promised him money, and there wasn't any money. But, look, it's been a stinker for us, but it's okay. After the decade that we've had, completing domestic football since the year 2000, how close are you to those 5?
And the crazy thing is, you'll probably come back up again next season because the Championship.
They won't. They're going to get bent over, and they cheated. Remember, they cheated.
We haven't cheated. We haven't cheated.
Nick Suckmike DeMarco will find a way to fix the problem. Don't worry.
Hey, any PSR mother screwer is a friend of mine, mate. So don't worry about it.
This is a genuine thing that we should all combine. So I bet you Marinakis would love to go out there and spend another 50, 100 million quid on top of what he would like to spend, but he's handcuffed too.
Yep. Oh, he finds ways out of these handcuffs. He's our Houdini, man. I don't know if Joe's still in, right? But I did see a stream where Lux was having a debate about how good or bad Cooper was. I'm not interested in the Cooper side of things. But something that stood out to me on that debate, you did over on Potts' channel, I think, a few months back, Lux. And Joe was there laughing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But something that Joe laughed at a lot, and I gotta say I did as well, was when you claimed that you thought there was at least 5 or 6, maybe higher, I can't remember the number, teams
it's not true.
that had better squads than you. Are you still dying on that hill, man?
So this was what, January, right? January time. I think my words were, we had a better squad than 3 teams.
No, Joe, are you still there, Joe? You said
4,
like 5 or 6.
It was 4. It was 4.
No,
it weren't 5. It was 4.
No. Don't even try to dump. It's like 5 or 6 minimum, man. I still want to know.
It weren't 6. It weren't 6. I'll tell you right now.
I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what you're talking about. Because all I've heard is you said that there were 5 squads. You'll bet that yours better than.
I said there were 4. I said there were 4. I said we had.
You actually talking about?
Yeah, I think in the debate or in the conversation, I said that there was we had a better squad than 4 teams. But that now I know that's not the case.
Premier League. In the Premier League.
Premier League.
I said that we had a
championship.
No. Yeah, no. But at the time, Wolfie, we not, some of us believed that we were underperforming, and that there was more to be had out of the squad. That turned out. Can you just clarify
which those teams were, just so we know?
Ipswich, Southampton. Mm-hmm. I think at the time I said Wolves.
You did,
and I said Everton. They were the 4.
And there was another one.
5. There weren't. Who?
A team that's in the FA Cup
final.
Said
Man United and Spurs is what you should have said.
Who?
Palace.
I don't think I said Palace.
I don't know. You might have. I might have.
You
were throwing some chest around, man.
I was throwing that around because there was a certain arse on there. But yeah, so it is what it is. But like I said, I've been proven wrong because this, now I know the squad's absolutely honking.
So is it harsh? Because one of the reasons you wanted Cooper out was because you didn't think he was getting the most out of the squad. And I'll put this to both you boys. Like, with hindsight now, do you look back and think, yeah, the squad was the main problem? I know you got other issues behind the scenes and everything else, and Top and Rudkin and all that stuff, right? But are you guys like? I've said your team is worse than Southampton's on the record.
It depends when in the summer you're asking the question. If you ask the question after we got promoted at the very start of that summer with 60 to 80 million pounds worth of talent to add to this, then I would have said we can build and end up by the start of the season with a squad that would have been as good as Locks would have said. However, we did sign like 7 or 8 players, but we got about 1 of those right. So when you get 1 out of 8 and you spend 60, 70, 80 million pounds, and one of those and your biggest signing of the summer is Oliver Skipp, then of course by the start of the season it dawns on you that, hold on, we've just spent a lot of money to make the team and the squad worse somehow than it was in the Championship. It's unbelievable incompetence to do something that bad. But so I would say at the start of the summer, with Enzo and with 80 million, or with me and 80 million, we would have built a lovely unit. But when you give Steve Cooper that money to spend, you see what we ended up with. And by the start of the season, I mean, like I said, we looked largely unrecognisable from the team. It wasn't just a style of play, but the personnel was very different too.
I was going to say that must have been the biggest blow, losing your manager. But I mean, look, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see Leicester last season at all. In fact, I've only seen him once this season. Okay. So I would have thought the biggest blow was losing your manager. But like I say, I did hear in the wind that a lot of Leicester fans weren't that happy with Maresca in the later parts of that season, and it wasn't
certain channel there, certain channel, isn't it?
You take that, Lugs.
Oh, this is Lux's favourite topic.
What's this? What was it?
No, I was saying
that
I would have said that the biggest blow to you was losing your manager, the manager that got your promotion with a lot of points. But I heard a lot of Leicester fans saying towards the end of the season that we're actually getting a little bit fed up with him and they weren't that convinced.
I think, you know, Manny loves talking about this, you know, the system and you know, the disciples of Pep and all of that. But, you know, Manny will agree. Enzo Maresca is very extreme on the scale. You know, I think he's done it a bit more now at Chelsea, but at Leicester, he didn't really adapt. He didn't adapt, in my opinion, and we got figured out in some games, and there was nothing really to combat against that. And I think, you know, a lot of fans in the ground weren't happy with the style of play, even though we were winning. And even there was some unhappy when we were 12 points clear. There was still some unhappy. And they said it was boring. And those fans are still around now. They say that they don't want to go back to that style of football. But I think the problem with losing Enzo Maresca in the summer was we had a squad that wanted to play that way. You know, whether the fans wanted it or not, the squad enjoyed playing playing football that way.
Massive.
And they wanted to play that way. So that bit of turmoil, if you like, you know, just before pre-season, that's obviously not going to help you. And then you bring in a manager that doesn't play anything at all like what you just spent 46 games playing. You know, there's no stability there. So yeah, I think it was the biggest miss, along with Dewsbury Hall. Them two together, they both went Chelsea. You could say that was just the start of the decline.
Yeah, I mean, surely he would have made a better fist of it than the two managers that actually got the job.
Well, you got to look at that one there.
It looks like he's got chicken on his pizza.
Well, I've been
shameful.
streaming since 12 o'clock. This is my breakfast, right? Sorry, I'm going to eat what you
Don't say that's chicken on the pizza. That's wrong.
It's onions and chilies and stuff.
Yeah, that's all right. The issue is that when you want to learn Enzo, Pep's system, and it goes beyond before Pep, of course. When you want to learn the system, it's not like you roll up and, boys, we're going to play 4-2-3-1. You guys stand over here. You just keep passing it to get to the wingers, and then winger will have a go at the fullback, and we'll try and get the 8. I mean, you can't learn it in 5 seconds. There's specific points of shape and distance between players that gets drilled into you training session after training session. No, you're standing half a metre too far to the right. You're out of position. It just gets drilled. They never did any defensive training under Enzo. It was all ball retention, shape, positioning, and then the runs between the system. You're trying to create triangle overloads out wide. It's very similar to the Chicago Bulls basketball system under Michael Jordan.
All right, okay. Yeah.
They try and create, you're trying to get 2-on-1 out wide, basically. So that's where you create the extra space. So they focused on this system for 46 games, nailed it down. By the way, in the Championship, I know you guys probably don't know, we did win 27 out of our first 30 games in the league. And at one point, we were 17 points up. Now, some fans like myself have an appreciation of what they were trying to do, why they're trying to do it. I was actually learning something, you know, for it's been a while since I felt I've done that in football. And some fans, you're 17 points clear of the Championship and they like to whinge. You can never please everybody, no matter what. I mean, you guys are 6th in the table and you'll still get a load of Forest fans saying, it's rubbish, get rid of Nuno, doesn't know what he's doing. You're 6th, man.
What Wolfie's one of them?
A couple of points I'd like to point out.
And one of what?
One is that all these Pep clones. What they seem to not take into account is they've not got Kevin De Bruyne. They've not got David Silva. They've not got Rodri. You know, they've not got the players that Pep's got at his disposal. So Pep can play that kind of football, and it's proven this season when he has not got those players, he's struggling. And the second point I was going to make is that no matter how well you play in the Championship, and I'm only going on evidence, I'm not going on bitterness or either or anything like that, but no matter how well you play in the Championship, you have to change when you come up. Because especially if you're playing in the nice football, because I think that both Southampton and Burnley both prove that you cannot play. And I said it when Burnley came up, everybody's glowing about them. They won the league by 100 points. They were playing this beautiful attacking, passing football. And I said, I ain't going to be able to do that in the Premier League, mate. And they tried and they just bombed. So the one thing about Cooper and Nuno really is that they did actually do something different to the norm in the Premier League. Now Cooper, you know, we just, God knows how we stayed up, but we did. And with Nuno, he's the only manager that plays our type of football in that division. And here we are sitting at the moment in 6th, possibly Champions League. Now, having said that, and that's because he's done something different. He's not copied all the other managers. Having said that, next season we can't be doing this again because I don't think it'll work twice. Yeah. So so what I'm saying about Maresca is I don't know how he would have done, because if he tried to play expansive football in the Premier League, you'd have got done.
There's a few points about that I'd like to make. Is that when we were in a Championship and we were doing well relative to that league, we played 3 Premier League teams that season as well in cup competitions. Yeah. So we played Liverpool away. I think for the first half an hour at Anfield, we absolutely dominated the entire game. They couldn't get the ball. Then Liverpool took over. I think it might have been 3-1.
It was the kids. It was the kids.
That's true, but still going to.
You lost 3-1, so we'll put that onto the side.
We went to Stamford Bridge in the 5th round? I think it was 4th round, 5th round.
Yeah, 6th round, whatever.
And it was 2-2, wasn't it? We were playing brilliantly again. We played well. I think the round before we went to Bournemouth away and beat them. And not just that, we absolutely played them off the park in the Enzo way. Bournemouth couldn't get the ball. We dominated the game. So look, I hear what you're saying. You know, obviously you've seen the dip in Pep, but it's not just those teams at the higher end that play that way. Brighton play that way. Have played that way for a number of years, and they're solid mid-table. They've made Europe.
That's a fair comment. But Brian, as you say, I've been in the Premier League for a number of years, and they've got several players that have gone for around the £100 million mark. So it does matter what the players that you've got.
Absolutely, and if we'd have actually signed, you know, £80 million worth of decent talent and had a really high hike rate, like if we'd have got most of them bang on, then we might have been in a position to have similar level performance. The problem is that you're right. We're trying to play passing, cute football, and we don't have players who are good enough to do that relative to our competition. In the Championship, we'll look good again, but Premier League's different beast, as you guys know. And there is
Manny, just sorry to interrupt you. I get what you're trying to say, but we could say the same thing, because with Cooper, we played Arsenal and beat them in the FA Cup. We played yourselves and smashed you 4-1, and then we got screwed with the dodgy offside goal against Liverpool. And in all those games, I don't know if you'd agree with me, Ant, we played way better against those teams in the Championship than when we faced them in the Premier League under Cooper.
No, the whole thing, I mean, it's not unusual. Again, it's not unusual for the FA Cup particularly, but the League Cup as well, to bring up surprise results, because the top teams do quite often, A, rest players, and B, concentrate elsewhere, i.e. the league. And this season, I mean, I don't think we've played stunning, attractive football this season. But we've managed to win the same amount of games as Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal. You know what I mean? We've won as many games as they have. So there's only, I think, 3 teams that have won more games than us, and they've only won, apart from Liverpool, they've only won one game more than us. So, you know, we're winning a lot of games with playing a style that's not this expansive sort of type of football.
So let's
but as
move
I
the
said earlier
conversation
on,
onto
I
this
think next season, if we tried again, I think we could come undone.
And just to finish that point, you do have a fair point, because the last time, well, not the last time, the time before that, under Nigel Pearson, when we stayed up, the Great Escape, as we call it, it was all, you know, it was all defend deep with Huth and then, Wes Morgan, Big Wes, you know,
Careful.
that blue legend, and then. And obviously, you know, we brought Albrighton back into the team. We changed our formation to 5 at the back, and suddenly we found a combination that allowed Vardy to fly. We stayed up, and then we go on and win the Premier League afterwards, and that's counter-attack football. But that was 10 years ago. Like, 10 years is actually quite a long time in football. And even from 10 years ago, the game's moved on again. Like, even
changed a lot. You're right.
And I think you guys are showing that is a very sensible way to play when, you know, you're the small fish against the big fish, right? But there is a limitation as to how far you can get to it, which you guys are kind of finding out. There is a ceiling. So
yeah, well, I look
it's a
at
debate.
Like this. We got Aina on a free. We bought Murillo for 11 million, and we bought Milenkovic for 12 million. To get 3 players like that for that money is not normal.
But look, the similarities is that we used to be, you know, Leicester's got a lot of Indians, and we're damn good bargain hunters. We got Mahrez, we got Kante, we got Kasper Schmeichel, we got Wes. Now you guys are the bargain hunters. You know, you got Hudson Odoi for, what was it, 3 million quid, Alanga 15, Murillo 9, Milenkovic 17, Seltz, I don't know what you paid for Seltz, but I bet it wasn't much.
5 million, I think you paid for Seltz.
All of these are much cheaper as bargains. Honestly, that is what will get you a long way. You had a high transfer strike rate, but you're not spending 30, 40 million a player.
True.
It made me laugh. You know, that first season when we were getting hammered by everybody and their dogs for buying so many players, we still spent less than the rest of them in the league did.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you two a question from a Leicester point of view. Okay, like we've always had.
Let me just run the likes. Excuse me. We got. I'll look so you do it, bro.
Do what? What do you want to know? What?
Just
Like,
tell them to hit the like button.
Read out a few chats, a few likes.
Go on, Manny. You take it then, mate. As soon as you're talking.
No, I'm not doing it.
Mr. Host of Blue Tinted
Yeah, you
Glass.
two are hosts. That's what you're doing.
Hey, I'm having a night off. Nah. If you're watching on Blue Tinted Glasses, make sure to get over to FFTV. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, and same to you guys on FFTV. Come over to us on Blue Tinted Glasses. You don't have to stick around. Just hit the like button, hit subscribe.
You know
it's
what,
free.
Ross?
It's free.
No wonder you're the second biggest East Midlands channel. Where's your energy?
I was just going to say...
You don't want to go there, Luxy.
Extremely miserable tits.
So you don't want to go there, Luxy, at all.
I'm just saying, right, there's 360 in here. The like count is low. I'm just saying that it's low.
What do you want? Would you really want to watch the build-up for Tottenham Bodo Glimt to listen to us?
I mean, we're on
hit that like button.
You got Lux. We got 76.
We only got 17 likes. Come on, people. Come on.
17.
17. Yeah. That's still higher than your league position. I get that. 17 is what you dream of over on Leicester channels. I get that. Yeah, but come on, you can do better than that. And look, don't embarrass us. We're Champions League. 2 stars and all this stuff.
At the moment.
Get those likes up as well. And a shout out as well to Steph.
96 now.
Steph, she with the coffees, she says, "Come on, you Reds! Happy afternoon." Big up, Steph, all the way over in America.
103.
The question I wanted to ask you lot was, look, we have this debate between us, like who buys the players, and you guys are slightly different because it feels like from the outside that Marinakis or his crew, I don't know who they are. Feels like a conclave or something that they're going in. Then the white smoke comes out or the black smoke comes out and you've signed a new player. So how do you guys go about finding these bargains that you've signed?
You understand?
Well, I'll answer it vaguely because I don't know the ins and outs.
I've got one slice left. Let's drag it out a little.
Yeah. So I'll waffle for a bit. Back in the Cloughie days, managers used to have pretty much the say of who they bought. And I always thought, growing up in that kind of football, I thought that was the right way. The manager, it's his team. He should have a choice. He's live or die by it. Now things have changed, obviously. Now it's normally, in most cases, it's a committee. It's the club. Because obviously the manager's not necessarily going to be there the next year. So you need to buy players for the club, not for the manager. And I 100% believe that that's how we do it. That we buy, like, I don't think for one second Nuno had ever heard of Murillo, for example. our recruitment team out in South America dug him up and then obviously said to him, we've got this player. Do you want him? You're having him, but do you want him? And I think that that's how we work. And I think that that's the only way a modern day football club can work, because you can't, managers aren't in position long enough to give them full reign. We've seen it with Manchester United. They buy a team full of players for about 500 million quid, then sack the manager. The next manager comes in. What does he do? I don't want them. And then start all over again. And look where they are now.
Do you remember Sean St. Ledger? Do you remember him, Ant Wolfie?
Yeah, Sean St. Ledger. Yeah.
Yeah, he is our South American scout. That's who we've got out there. I don't know if he was. That's who we've got over in South America looking for talent. Sean St. Ledger.
It's a big place, you know, South America, for one bloke.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we're never looking out there. We're never linked. We were linked with one last summer. You've probably heard of him, Valentin Gomez. I don't know if he ended up moving, but we fumbled that one. I don't know if he actually moved to Europe, but he was linked with Europe instead of us. But you know, we never seem to be. We're in a different market, aren't we, Manny? Apparently, we're in the same market we seem to have been 10 years ago. Actually, you know, when we were signing the likes of Albrighton and, you know, and Huth and all of them, which was good at the time.
We've been getting our players from Del Boy, his market, I think. You know, I don't know what these guys are just been from a club that had so many hits in also fairly obscure places. I know that Le Havre isn't exactly the team that we're watching every weekend in French football, yet they find Riyad Mahrez for 450 grand. That's just the extreme example of a network that they used to have that worked well. And so I'm curious as to, you know, like Marinakis' network does, you know, also because it's split with Olympiacos. What if he finds like a gem in Brazil, like a Murillo? How does he decide, like, oh, I'm going to send him to Olympiacos or I'm going to send this one to Forest?
This is mainly why I like you, man, because, like, you know ball. And that's exactly what's happening now. Look, let's be real. If you read the report on Forest's PSR thing from last year, it clearly states there that Forest are in the South American market to buy for cheap, shop window them in the Premier League and sell for profit. Now, I think that model has changed because of where we are this season. And on top of that, with Edu coming in and this multi-team system that Marinakis is going, because we've got the Portuguese team as well, Rio Ave, and they're now trying to acquire a Brazilian team as well. And I think that's exactly what you're touching on there. There will be those young Brazilian talents that maybe, because they start them quite young there, don't they? If they haven't been sold by the age of 20, it's almost classed as too old to make it into Europe. I think you'll see the 15, 16, 17-year-olds going to whatever Brazilian team they acquire there. That's the first part of, you know, the cycle. They could get them moved to Portugal or Olympiacos.
He's going to have an empire.
It's actually an academy. It's actually an academy that we're buying. And it's the academy of
Brazil,
São Paulo. São Paulo are the biggest club in size-wise. They're massive, São Paulo. And
that's where Kaká came from.
Yeah,
I think.
And they're renowned for their academy. So we're trying to buy their academy now. Can you imagine how good that would be? You've got the Brazilian academy.
Oh, you know what? This was supposed to cheer me up. This show. That is.
Yeah, we were
that's
signing,
like the most horrible news I could have heard all night. Like that annoys me. I can't tell you how much that annoys me, because that's something.
Do you remember Money? Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah, we signed a Gladhead, 20-year-old.
Do you remember when we were signing all these kids from Thailand? They were just favours for top.
We did that thing though. Do you remember when we had?
I wanted an Argentinian one.
We were getting so many Arabs, man. Even I'm at freaking Arab, and I'm struggling to pronounce some of their names that were coming in, man. Seriously, just because Fawaz was Arab as well.
It's so depressing to hear that you're actually forward thinking as a club, and that you're doing the kind of things that I would love to do.
One more thing, sorry, I do beg your pardon. One more thing that we do as well is that you said, who does Marinakis decide who goes where? Well, it's already been pretty well established. For example, we signed a defender last season. Is it Kranic is his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. And sent him straight. He literally didn't set foot in. I don't think he set foot in the City ground. Sent him straight to Olympiacos. And evidently, he's had a fantastic season in Olympiacos. So if he does well enough, we'll just simply bring him back. So
well, you say that, but let me lead that into the next point, because it's another Forest thing that I heard recently is that because there's like a UEFA rule, sorry, a UEFA rule that says that you can't have these ownership clashes. That he's divested himself of his Forest shares and kept his Olympiacos ones. Now, I don't know too much about the story, so I'll ask you guys: does that mean that he's prioritising Olympiacos in any way over Forest?
No. Do you want to answer this?
There's no way.
You saw it with Nice, and you saw it with Man U and Jim Radcliffe. They did it last season. You got Man City with Genoa, I think it is. Chelsea with Strasbourg as well. They're connected. It's just paper. It's on paper. He's had to put his shares into a blind trust. It will mean that the words written down won't have Marinakis' names, but the thing behind it. But where you are right, where it does have an impact.
Well, he'll be able to come back next season.
Yeah.
When you finish 10th.
As soon as we're not in the same competition, he just transfers his shares back again.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's a nothing burger.
It's ridiculous that you can get round. Something should either be, done or not done. And the way that UEFA do it, because they're such cowards, and I'm glad they are in this circumstance, because they're such cowards, they say you can't do that unless you go around the houses. But if you go around the houses, then you can do it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but let's let you feel better, Manny, because for weeks me and you have been trying to organise it with Lux as mediator. You've been wanting to tell me Forest are gonna bottle this top 5.
I told you before the run started that.
Yep.
And it wasn't any Forest trolling. Actually, no, I don't really hate Forest. I actually hate Villa. They're my most hated team. So I know you guys hate Derby, and I don't like that we're not your most hated club. So why should you be my most hated club? It's only fair, right? You two can have your little love affair of hatred. I'm after Villa. But anyway, we've been here twice. Like I said, it's not just once. It's actually been there 3 times. Once the Champions League, the title winning season, but 2 other times in a different team, a different area. So we've actually have some experience at this level. And we were Champions League positions 74 out of 76 weeks. But the only 2 weeks we weren't was the very last one, both seasons. Yeah. So I know what it's like to have this gap, to be flying, to be thinking, sweet, you know what, nailed off Europe. Champions League's nailed on. These other teams are terrible. But then when the pressure comes on tight, because we had a draw against Steve Bruce's Newcastle. Do you remember how bad they were? And we were flying. And we couldn't beat Steve Bruce's Newcastle at home. And I was like, that is nothing but our own. We're getting scared. We're getting nervous. We're feeling the other teams coming on strong. And Man City have picked up, last few weeks. Chelsea have picked up after a couple of dodgy ones. Villa are now picking up too. And everyone around you is putting the squeeze and the pressure on you. And it's inevitable when you've got a team, dare I say, look, you're not as good as the teams around you. You're overperforming. Now, that's fantastic for you. Brilliant season. Amazing. But not so long ago, it was a team that got like 26 points or whatever. The question is whether you can maintain those levels when the spotlight is on, the expectation. Like all of a sudden, at the start of the season, if you're playing Brentford at home, you're like, oh, I hope for a win, but I don't expect to win. But when you're pushing for Champions League and you've been winning all season, you're like, I expect to win that game. And your mindset puts a different pressure on you. I just know that we reacted badly to that. So I kind of expected you guys twice we did it. So I was like, look, this is your first rodeo. And it's not easy to get over that line when you've got all these big boys and massive resources and them spending fortunes in January to catch you. So I just saw it coming, and Wolfie's so cocky, especially on text. It's like, you know what? he needs to be told the truth. He's living in deluded Mikel Arteta land. He needs to get back to reality.
So you telling me you're guaranteeing we don't get top 5? Because that's the chest you've been in. Because you can type on text as well, bro.
I think you're going to finish 6th.
You say you're guaranteeing that, yeah?
No, there's no guarantees in anything in football.
No guarantee.
I said I think
messages.
The difference is though, I didn't say it after you've had this run of games. I said it before you had the run of games.
Yeah, but you were saying it with hopium.
Then. No. I just gave the reasons why, and now that it's been happening, I watched the Brentford game.
I have to say, Manny, you're one of millions. You're one of millions that have said that.
Including someone who's not too far.
Did you say the same, man? Were you feeling at the time as well?
No, when we were 3rd and about 5 points clear, I thought we've got this. because the teams below us weren't performing well. It's not like they were storming up; they weren't performing well. Chelsea were losing every farts end, you know. Villa were up and down, you know what I mean. But once we started on this run, I thought, yeah, I could see it coming. But what annoys us is because we're not stupid, you know. We're football fans. We've seen enough football. We know what can happen and what is most likely to happen. But of course, you defend your team. So what's annoying is the disrespect you get from a lot of other fans of clubs that are languishing in 14th, 15th, 16th position or whatever, and calling you bottlers and you're not going to do this. You're not going to. You think, hang on, just get in your lane. You know what I mean? Get in your lane. You know, we've won 18 games this season. Do you know what I mean? How many you won? 3. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but if you don't get laughing at others, you got nothing.
I'm not talking to Leicester now. I'm talking to
Spurs.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Spurs and Man U. Guys that, you know, well, we know what Spurs and Man U fans are like. And that's what winds us up. Because we know we're not stupid. We are punching above our weight. Of course we are. We finished 17th last season. And I said to one of my Spurs friends, I'm disappointed in you because I thought that you would be celebrating the fact that a team like ours can actually do so well and crash into this Cartel 6 party. I thought you'd be celebrating it. And you know what his answer was? I would be if it wasn't for Wolfie.
Mate, you know what? I've heard that. I've heard that so many times. I would be if it weren't for Wolfie.
So why do they hate you so much, Wolfie?
Oh, what, the rival fans? Because
I know your own fans.
Oh, my own fans as well. Yeah, all of them hate me, man.
Really
I hold that mirror up, bro, to those Cartel 6. And I say,
but we get it as well. We get it as well because you're getting happy.
Oh, mate, I couldn't give a shit, man.
The disrespect you get for winning that Premier League is outrageous. All that people go on about is it was a shit year. No, it wasn't. It was a normal year, and Leicester were the best. I know.
It was a shit year.
No. Some teams underperformed.
They had West Brom in there, man.
The second team got 71 points, I think it was. That's pretty. That is bang average.
We would win the league.
I know, but look, like I said, look, I'm real. You know,
but Arsenal are on 67 points now. In second place.
But you know, historically, 71 points for a team that finishes second is low, and 81 points for a title-winning team is low. But we won't just beat everybody. We beat them by 10 points.
Hang on. Have we been spoiled by Manchester City and Liverpool? Because I think if you go back, teams weren't getting 80, 90, 100 points every season to win the league. I think a lot of it is because Man City and Liverpool have been so bloody good that they have got 99 points and still not won.
Yeah.
You know? So, you know, maybe it's kind of false.
And to go back to your question, so why do they hate me? Because they expect these Cartel 6 YouTubers, right? For us to say thank you for the invite. I'm really happy to be here. We're not going to be here next season, but thank you for allowing us to just even breathe the same air as you. What they don't like is why you tell them why Arteta's so crap, why Arsenal are bottle drops, why Spurs are a joke, why who else is there? Why
United,
Chelsea?
Mate.
Huh?
Don't forget Man United.
United. I mean, don't get me started on them. They don't like hearing the home truths about themselves. And they didn't like it. And we were just flying at that time. And they had no ammunition back at me. Even if Forest took an L, it was like, is that all you got? I'm still third. I'm still this and still the other. With our fan base,
I know what you're saying, because I remember.
Hang on, Locks. First of all, they were saying, you're going to fall away this season. You're going to fall away this season. Yeah. When it really looked like
it's next season. Next season now.
Yeah, it was. Well, next season you're going.
Yeah.
No, I have to say.
I know exactly what you're on about, Wolfie, with the Big Six Cartel, the YouTube content creators. Because I remember when we were fighting for Champions League, I think it was the second year. I was watching quite a big YouTube channel still, and they had a Leicester fan on, and the stream was about 2 hours, and they gave this guy about 3 minutes.
Yeah,
3 minutes, and he didn't speak again. And then the next week they messaged me asking me to come on. I was like, no chance, mate. What are you on about? Like, to speak for 3 minutes when Leicester, I think at the time we were third. You know what I mean?
It's the story of the season, and they don't give you any media time, do they? It's like, I watch everything. Like I'll watch CBS, I'll watch ESPN, Sky Sports, Talk Sport. I'll follow anything, particularly when the results aren't horrific. When we're winning the league, I'm all over anything you can get, and I'm assuming that you really hardcore Forest fans are the same. and it's amazing. All they still want to talk about is Man United. You know, in like.
Yeah.
Like who's in? Nobody's interested. They're 15th. It's hilarious. It's a laugh.
I'm loving
but
it,
I
man.
don't want to spend half an hour talking about Man United. It's not a news story. The news story is Forest overperforming, but they're just not interested.
They only started talking about us once we started slipping down. Then they started talking about us.
Because they want to keep, just like PSR.
All I keep seeing since we've lost a few games is Wolfie's face plastered over thumbnails, left, right, and centre.
Yeah, I don't know. That's to answer your other question about our fan base. Why is there this love, hate, or whatever it is? With probably me in particular, I'd say. It's because I just say what I think, bro, and I didn't give a shit what anyone thinks. Do you know what I mean? You guys have had it. I've seen what Locks gets and what have you. But I think if we don't get top 5, it's a bottle job. Personally speaking, because of the time we spent there this season. Now, is that what I would have thought if we were having this conversation on the 1st of August? Of course not. Yeah, but context is everything, and that's the key here. I hold my standards to my club, to what I know they've achieved in the past before I was even born, to where I think they're going to go under this great leader that is Marinakis and what he wants to achieve. If any Forest fan, they can have whatever opinion they want. I couldn't give a damn. It's their opinion. If any Forest fan thinks Marinakis will be happy now in this context of not finishing in Champions League, maybe they don't know him as well as they think they do.
So let me ask you this. You ask him, Lux.
I was going to say, so let's just say what happens to you next is what happened to Leicester, right? Let's say let's say you bottle Champions League, if you want to call it bottle, whatever. Next season, something very similar happens. You're in the top 4 or you're looking good for Champions League pretty much all season, and towards the end you bottle it. Do you reckon Marinakis would sack Nuno?
Yep.
Because there were a lot of Leicester fans at the time, not many, but there were a lot of Leicester fans at the time who wanted Brendan Rodgers to be sacked after we bottled Champions League for the second season in a row, and we didn't.
100% think he would, bro, and I'll tell you why. Because of that exact example. Because a lot of your fan base look back at it now, and I'm sure they think you held on too long with him. At that stage, you could have attracted a bigger and better manager than you ended up getting once you sacked him. I mean, who did you end up with? It was bloody Dean Smith, wasn't it? In the intro.
Yeah, well, mate, they had no plan for sacking him. We had to wait then 2 games against Bournemouth and Villa, which we lost. Then they brought in Dean Smith for 7 games, I think it was, and we ended up 1 point. It was 1 point off. It wasn't you, was it? Was it Everton? 1 point off Everton in the end. So if we'd have sacked him even 2 months earlier, the points per game that Dean Smith was getting suggests that we would have stayed up.
It's relative as well, because what you could make the same argument about Cooper. Cooper got us from bottom of the Championship into the Premier League, survived, did stuff that was no Forest fan when we're sitting bottom of the Premier League is there thinking, come May, we're going to be in Wembley. No one is. But everything is relevant to the context of the current situation that you are in. And it works the other way around.
Change.
Huh? What I said.
I was going to say expectations change because I don't know about you guys, so many happy clappers. And, a lot. Mate, a lot of the mindset in the Leicester fan base is, well, we were in League One 15 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
I've got that mindset.
We get that this
He's got this mindset.
I've got that mindset. It's not happy.
That's not how you become a. That's not how you get success. You don't get success by saying, "Oh well, we'll just accept where we are because we won the Premier League."
We already had success.
We could be in League One. Yeah, but we wanted to become
continued success.
Exactly.
It's unrealistic to have sustained continued success where you're relying on the incompetence of your rivals. And as I made this point in our chat group, in my day, it used to be, let's say the late 80s, it was mid-80s, Liverpool versus Everton. Late 80s, Liverpool versus Arsenal. The 90s, United versus Arsenal. And there was a top 2. The top 2 goes to top 4. Top 4 goes to a top 6. The top 6, if you now include Newcastle and Villa, who have got big fan bases, lots of money, is now a top 8. Steady on.
But we should be in that, Manny, with what we did in those
Exactly.
years.
No, because our wage bill and our budgets are relevant to PSR. The difference is PSR. You're right. If we
was massive last season,
107%.
Yes, and the reason it was 107% of revenue was because the revenue was reduced because we bottled Champions League. If we'd have got Champions League at least one of them 2 years, we would have been able to sustain that level of spending for longer. And we didn't, and we bottled it. And then we finished. We budgeted for 8th, and we got relegated.
And on top of that, this is turning into a domestic. But my point is that if somebody else has 2 or 3 times your budget every single summer, sooner or later they're going to usurp you. It's only a question of. It's not like like Chelsea, right? They're a bit of a laughing stock for a while. Todd Bowley's come in. What do they know about football? Just throwing money. They're not that daft. You don't get to be a billionaire if you're completely daft. Those people, if they made mistakes, they'll wise up quickly. So you might have your moment for a year or 2, but sooner or later, things will normalise and they will catch up.
Not being so sensible. We're Forest fans, we're football fans, we're allowed to dream. But what you say is absolutely correct, because let's be absolutely honest. Okay, Forest have broken into it a little bit this season, but generally speaking, Man U and Spurs have ballsed it up, but that's because they're totally incompetent at board level. But let's be honest, basically the Premier League is basically a league of how much money you've got. The game is rigged. The game is rigged against you, and the game is rigged against us. That's PSR money. Is a way of handcuffing both of our clubs to make sure that we stay down there, that we can't challenge for those big boys. So it's actually harder than ever. How can you can't disagree? It's mathematics. Listen, what about this then? When you come up from the championship, you're not given a help. You're fucking hindered because you could spend less than the rest of the clubs because you can only spend 13 million quid for the 2 seasons before. So you're restricted to 65 when all the rest of the clubs that are established and been there and bringing in big money every year, they can spend 105. Make sense if you're supposed to be about fairness.
I think in 1974, Derby got promoted, won the league. In 78, you got promoted and won the league we got promoted in 77 and won the league in 78. We got promoted, had to stay up by the skin of our teeth, won it second season. These are freak anomaly situations. Most of the teams that are actually coming up can't progress, and especially now they're going straight back down.
How many times has the Big Six in the last 10 years finished as the Big Six in the Premier League?
That's not my point. My point is if they have it, like I said, there is the opportunity to jump in there for a year or 2, like we did, like you have done, like Villa or Newcastle have done. But sooner or later, the most money table will pretty much reflect. You might not get it in a perfect 6, but in a proper world, they should be 6 of the first 8 or 9.
It's like people talk about the romance of the FA Cup. Look at the last 30 years. Every team that's won it is a top 4, top 6 team, virtually.
Leicester won it.
That's the one. You're forgetting about the other 30.
Wigan?
I said Wigan. Yeah, they beat Man City. Now, that was an anomaly, I think we'd agree.
Cup competitions are different. Cup competitions, you only have to win 6, 7 games. You don't have to win 38 games.
People think it's a fair playing field, but when you look at it...
No, I'm not saying it's a fair playing field. I'm saying the map is changing for 2 reasons, right? The 3 teams that are coming up are so shit that there's other 17 are almost guaranteed unless they balled it up. Right? Look at Wolves this season and Palace. Balls it up massively at the start of the season. Easy recovery to get away from it. That's one thing. The second thing is revenue coming into all these Premier League clubs that have been in there 2 or 3 years is more than it was 10 years ago. Okay, so that revenue is enough. Look, and I always use these examples. Everton, who were in financial trouble, still didn't sell Braithwaite to Man U. You've got Palace, who didn't sell Gueye to Newcastle because they're like, we don't need to. This is the difference in it. And the third point is they figured out the loopholes around PSR. Forest sold our crappy keeper to Newcastle. We took their academy player in Anderson for £35 million, even though it's 12 million, and everyone balances their books. Chelsea did it with Villa. You saw Newcastle doing it with Brighton and all these things. So these loopholes are done. And this is what I'm saying.
All these teams have improved. Yes, you're right. And they're all mid-table and they're pretty good teams. They're nice to watch. all those teams have improved a bit, but how many of them are consistently for a period of 5 years challenging for Champions League?
But I'm
Not-
saying, man,
not
it's
one.
changed in the last
Not a
2
single one.
years. It's changed in the last 2 years.
Do you guys think you're going to be in the Champions League mix or the European mix for the next 5 seasons? Are you insane?
Yes, I can believe that. As a fan, I can believe that.
I love you, Wolfie, but that's just nuts.
Well, let's put it this way, Manny. If we got into the Champions League this season, that probably gives us an extra 80 million. We've already got an extra 30 million by finishing in the top 5. Plus, we are now. It will now be the year after the 3rd year, so we can have the full allocation of PSR money, 105 million. You add all those up together, all of a sudden we're in a position where we need to sell nobody. And not only that, if we're a Champions League team, we can. I'm not saying we can attract the top players. That's not realistic. But we can certainly attract the next level of player or a promising upcoming player.
But you're forgetting Ant.
Ant's right, because look at Yuri Tielemans, right? At the time, he was a very, very highly rated youngster, and we managed to get him at Leicester City on loan.
And then what happened after a few years? He didn't want to stay.
Why? Why, man? Because we didn't qualify for Champions League. We bottled it twice.
Look,
that's why.
If Real Madrid,
he's at Villa. He's at Villa, man.
Right.
He's at Villa.
You let him go for nothing. That was your mistake. Had you sold him for
my point is that the fact that you're right. Yeah, that's correct. But my point is the player himself wants to leave. Once his head is turned.
Why? Because he's at Villa, Manny. He's at Villa.
I know, but he thought he was going to do. He thought he was going to do better.
He thought Arsenal. Yeah.
He thought he was going to do better.
He knew he was going to do better.
You guys can't look. You can't seriously tell me that when you get a bid for Murillo or a bid for Elanga or something, that those players are going to turn around and say, "Yeah, I'll hang around here."
No,
they'll be out the door.
No. On that point,
I think it depends.
They'll be
gone. Depends on the club. If it's Real Madrid, he's gone. If it's Spurs,
exactly.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is.
Exactly. It's
and not only that,
for me.
You get the money. Why does it matter?
Because then you have to. Because what you've done is you've had a hit, and so you'll get the money right. But then you could end up doing like what we did. We sell Harry Maguire for 80 and we buy Wesley Fofana for 30. Brilliant business. But then you sell Wesley Fofana for 70 and you buy Wout Faes for 15. So you got to keep that. The problem is every time there is a transfer, you're taking a risk whether it works or not, whether you know that you've got a proven product. Those players will want to go. Trust me, Murillo did not grow up in Brazil dreaming of playing for Nottingham Forest.
Don't go on about this because we're not stupid. We know this, right? But if Murillo is to go to Real Madrid and we get £100 million for him, trust me, he costed 11 million quid. We can then go out and invest that money in other players.
But we've already done it.
And what we'll be relying on is our recruitment being a lot better than yours.
Dan, that's everything. If you keep getting the recruitment right, yes, Hans. If you keep doing
when Wesley Fofana went to Chelsea for 80 million, Leicester fans were like, "Wow, 80 million, lovely." The problem was the problem is we replaced him with Wout Faes. That's the problem. So I don't, if you're getting big money,
2 years.
It can go either way. Like Villa sold Grealish for 100 million, they invested it wisely. Spurs sold Bale for 90 million and pissed it down the wall. It completely depends on what you do with the money at hand. So it's a question of the money can give you opportunities, but although like 80, 90 million is a lot of money and your budget is actually pretty decent, your rivals still have bigger budgets. Your rivals still have more allure. They have bigger names. That players want to play for the bigger teams. It's an unfortunate fact of life. So Forest are in a will find themselves in a tricky situation where you built up a really good team, but suddenly people start going, one guy starts getting annoyed, he doesn't want to turn up for training, and then all of a sudden that brilliant team spirit starts to fade and you'll start to drop down the league.
Let me tell you where I am on all this, right? As a lifelong Forest fan, obviously I don't speak for other Forest fans, I can only speak to myself, and I said this on another podcast. That I don't expect Forest right now, in the current situation of football as it is and everything else that goes with it, I don't expect us now to turn into Man United or Liverpool or somebody like that, right? That's not realistic. I mean, the league's only been going on 130 years, so we don't know what's going to happen in 5,000 years. We may be a big club by then. But right now, I look at it like this. What my ambition for Forest is to remain in the top 10 year on year, comfortable, and the occasional little excursion up the table and grab a European place and do well, and hopefully do well in the cups, which will bring in money, prestige, exposure, and the glory. Yeah. So I'm not expecting us to be top 4 every year. I don't think that is realistic for a club of our size.
Why not?
But I do think it's realistic for us to be in the top 10 every year with the occasional push into Europe. I think that's fine. And as a Forest fan, I would be happy with that, particularly considering the last 25 years we've had.
It's all subjective.
And this is this is what I was saying about happy clappers and the Leicester fan base, because you know, people like Manny, for example, will say, "Oh well, you've got no," you know, because Leicester, a lot of Leicester fans aren't happy that we fumbled the bag. We fumbled it, Manny.
The kids in your echo chamber feel the same way as you.
Did we fumble?
More seasoned worldly fans take a more mature worldly view.
Did we fumble the bag? Did we fumble the bag?
Yeah, of course we did.
Exactly. So why can't fans be happy with that?
Because we've been fumbling the bag for 3 decades before that, mate. So you know the people that transformed our club.
As a Leicester sort of heart searching soul to soul, do you think we perhaps ought to talk about the game at all, or not?
We've done any preview.
I wanted to watch the with hope.
It's only funny if Bodo Glimt score. Actually, does that mean that Leicester fans should be supporting Bilbao today?
Because we don't want.
Because I think Ant told me that if United win this competition, 6 gets Champions League.
No. 6 in the Champions League. The top 5 plus Man United.
Oh, so only I got it. Okay, so not 6th place. I understand. Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were turning into a United fan for a few games. Okay, I understand.
No.
I'm gonna have to when they play Villa, but I don't know if I can. All right, so let's just do the team stuff, right? Guys, we got like 370 in here. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure if you're watching on our channel, you subscribed over at Blue Tinted Glasses. They're always arguing. They're worse than us at times, right? If you're watching over there,
we've got this guy.
It is him, and then he's got a few receipts.
Kids throwing their toys out the pram every week. This is what you got to deal with.
They've
watched football for 10 years, and they think we win the league every year.
No, it's bullshit.
You can dream. So get those likes up, guys.
He's jealous that Leicester's success came when he was 50, not 20. That's Manny's problem.
Nah, Martin O'Neill, another person who saw the light and changed from red to blue. You hated him when he first came in. Well, he lost the first 10 games. That's why. There you go. Flip flopper. All right, let's talk some team stuff here. So I've got Ant to do one for Forest, and I've got Lux to do one for Leicester. Lux, talk me through this shit, man. I mean, seriously, what is this?
Well,
can you make it big for me, Wolfie?
For ages when you said it.
Do we have to make it big?
Hey, man, he was meant to be good.
When you're my age, you need a bit of help.
Yeah.
Let me just read it out. Can you read it out? I can't quite see.
I think this is actually the lineup that we had against Southampton and at Manny. So Stolacic,
the winning lineup.
Hermansen's injured. He's played his last game for Leicester now. Yeah, he's on his way out. He'll be gone this summer. So we've got our backup, our future number 1, Stolacic. James Justin. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, it's a shame with Justin. Wolfie, what's your opinion on him, mate? Because you know, pre-injury, he was in the England squad. Actually, he looked like a really, really, really good talent. But
I think JJ's just lived in Ricardo's shadow. To be honest, even within your fan base, like he won't ever be good enough because Ricardo's still out, isn't he? He's out for. Is he out? Where is he?
He was out, and then he's basically out every few weeks. To be honest with you, mate.
And I just think you hold that right back position, and you lot still talk about. Remember when Ricardo would invert into the midfield, and Justin can't quite do it, and what have you. I think he's a decent right back, but I also think, especially under the Cooper regime, a lot of the goals you conceded were partially his fault, or at the very least down that side of the pitch, you were conceding a lot, and you have to hold.
Problem. That was Cooper's problem.
You can say Cooper's problem, but Justin was the man on the pitch to deal with it. I don't think he's helped as well when, like, I was watching you guys more so under the Cooper regime. I don't think your right winger was really helping too much either. So he was almost patrolling that on his own.
At the time, we were playing, I think, Facundo Buonanotte quite a bit on the right hand side, and you know his tracking back was just non-existent. So Justin was pretty much isolated, and even Wilf. I mean, Wilf, I think back then was playing in the 10. Indeed, so even he was slightly too far, up the pitch to support Justin. So, and then with Wout Faes, is James Justin, on the left of it. I mean, yeah, it's a nightmare. So,
yeah, but I think he scored your goal of the season. I think that's fair to say, the one against Arsenal. That was an absolute banger of a goal. But I don't think he's the sum of all your problems. For me, I don't know what partnership you think is good in this centre-back pairing, man. I think Cody's too slow. What's the Italian dude called? I forgot his name now.
Akola.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he had the physique to do it, but he looked like a bozo at the back. I think freaking Sideshow Bob thinks he's better than he is and has got an ego. And then
a massive ego.
Yeah. What's happened to Christensen? When did Thomas sneak his way back in? Because he's never really impressed me that much. So there's been a few changes since I've properly watched you guys. Christensen was crap, by the way. He was crap.
He's off to Everton now, apparently. Off to Everton.
Good luck, Everton. I think if I'm being honest with you, when I look at your team, the players that stand out to me are El Khanous. I think he's slow burned his way into looking half decent at the moment.
He'll be off.
And I gotta say, Ndidi has actually probably been decent. I wouldn't say he's been amazing, but he's been consistent is probably the better word for me. And your keeper, obviously, he's injured at the moment. The rest of it, bit park players, man. I mean, I use a joke. I don't even know who that right winger is. I ain't ever seen him. And Vardy's like, looks like Chappie and is as old as Ant. So like, enough's enough, surely with Chappie. So with Chappie with Vardy. Oh, Chappie as well. So I just think your team actually looks worse to me than when you had a fully fit team with the likes of Ricardo, with Mavididi, with what's his face? Who's the other winger?
Fatawu.
The good one.
Fatawu.
Yeah, him. I mean, I can still remember his reveal song. It was pretty catchy when you did the reveal in the summer. I think your team right now looks really bad. Really bad. And I ain't just saying that. You guys know I've bigged up some of your play. I even put some in a combined 11 of charity when we did this in the reverse fixture. I just don't think Ruud has settled on something. I've seen him play back 3. I've seen him play back 4. He's probably going to stick with this because you managed to beat bottom of the table Southampton. I don't think Ruud cares, and nor do I think half those players in the squad give a damn at the moment what's going on. And the fact that you're not sitting here, it's not even on the beach, man. You're drowned. You're literally like, you got teams on the beach. You went into the water with weights around your ankles. It's crazy, man. So I think this squad needs to be ripped up, needs to start again. And if I were you, honestly, I'd be looking at some of the youth players to have a look at them. And I'm not saying this because you're playing Forest. This is besides the point.
That's what we want. We'd rather that anyway. Yeah, we want to see you.
I get the 200 thing with Vardy, but Vardy's not there next season. Bid him off. I wouldn't give a damn. There needs to be that ruthless. 199, 200. Bid him off. Have a youth player there. See what he's got. Do you know what I mean? Are you really going to use him next season? Huh?
Well, yeah, but the Vardy situation is different. I mean, I agree with you on the rest of it about playing. Playing the ones that are going to be here next year or playing the youth, but you can't bin Vardy off. I mean, I hear what you say because he's the greatest Leicester player.
You're putting him ahead of your club, then. You're putting him ahead of your club.
No, we're not, because the alternative is Patson Daka.
I agree with you 100%, mate. I agree with you 100%. Give that guy the chance to get 200 goals. He deserves it.
There's no guarantee he gets it, Anne. There's no guarantee he gets it.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's good PR. So when that news story goes around the world, Vardy scores 200 goals for Leicester, but the spotlight goes back on Leicester, and it's no such bad thing as bad PR. So
that's not it for me.
Also, the fans in the stands, the away ones or the home ones, that's their reason for coming. It's either some of the youth players, but Vardy has to play, mostly because we don't have a young out-and-out striker who could do with some game time. Our reserve striker is Patson Daka, and there's nothing after that.
What did you do with Cannon?
Sold him.
Sheffield United.
So, look, we should put kids in. Like, people, we've got this, I mean, I don't know if you've heard, but we've got this young lad who's 15 who made his Premier League debut about 4 or 5 weeks ago. He's the second youngest Premier League player ever.
No sponsor.
He looks serious young baller. I think he's England under-17 captain. Scored, I think if I'm not right, he scored 6 goals in his last 3 internationals for the drop one. This boy's 15, but he is Real Madrid, Man City already sniffing around him. We would love to see a kid like this get a start, but this is our internal issue with Ruud, is he says the right thing, you know, oh yeah, let's throw the kids in, and you see the team sheet and it's Ayew and Cordova-Reid again. You're like, that's
my point, man. I get what you're saying about the Vardy stuff, right? Okay, sentimentality, whatever. But there has to, my point that I'm making is there are players in this team, in this squad, that you lot would throw riots over if they were named in your starting 11 next season against Derby, right? That's my point. Why are you wasting time on an Ayew, a Cordova-Reid, whatever, when you should? This is a good opportunity in a competitive game to have a look at what these kids have got and give them some proper professional game time experience. It makes more sense.
We agree with you on all of that, other than the Vardy one. He's the only one.
All right, fine, leave Vardy. I'm not saying put 11 kids
because
up,
I think this is now time for, since it's Forest Fan TV today, I'll do my usual Manny Bingo, we call it, because there is an underappreciation for a simple fact of what works in high-level sport. In any sport that involves motion, if you don't have fast twitch fibers, look it up if you don't know what they are. If you don't have those in your team, you are going to be at a disadvantage. So every team, it's not just speed, by the way, it's much more than that. It's speed, touch, control. It's basically being able to execute all the football elements at a faster level, at a higher speed. In a game that's faster than it's ever been, somehow we've managed to accumulate an old, slow squad. The only bright lights in our team, anywhere that we find, actually have the ability to move. So Bilal, he's quick with the ball at his feet. He's got quick feet. Not necessarily high-level pace, but he's got it in terms of control. Indeed, he's been rock solid. Mads Hermansen's different. But the rest of them are Ayew's, Cody's, Cordova-Reid's, Vestergaard's. The team's full. Vardy himself, he's not the Vardy he was when he was 28. He's a 38-year-old. So our average age ended up being something like 32 for our squad, which was the equal oldest squad in the Premier League. And it's no coincidence while we're down. The reason why Forest have done so well this season is, in my opinion, the two wingers. The two wingers allow you to play that way effectively. If you didn't have those two, then you're going nowhere this season. You can't sit back and defend. You can't. And that Elanga goal, what was it, like 9 seconds where he ran? That is the perfect example of what I mean. Is that you can have Anthony Elanga, who's a really good talent, but he's not the best winger in the world. But his speed, his execution, his performance in that particular goal is at such a high level. No defender can defend against that. Unfortunately, we used to have players like that. Kante was so fast to the ball at winning it. Unbelievable. Mahrez, his close control, over 5 yards, beating a man easy. Last season, we used to have Mavididi and Fatawu, similar, absolutely electric. This year, the team dynamic has changed because 2 managers in a row haven't recognised that speed kills. You know, as I say, you know, I feel the need for speed. And that is what we need to get our hands back on. And that is what you guys have done really well.
Wolfie, ability.
Ability plays a damn part in football IQ as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
The joke's gone over your head. The joke's gone over your head.
Oh. Let's talk about the Forest team and put one together here. I'm just pleased there's 11 players. Usually, and ends up with 12.
I've maintained for a long time that it ought to be in the rule books that Forest can have 12 players on the pitch.
I wouldn't disagree with that. This is what Ant's going for. I'll just shout it out for those maybe listening back on the podcast. You got 4-2-3-1, Sells, Einar Milenkovic, Murillo, and Nico Williams. He's gone for Sangare and Anderson in the 6 and the 8. He's gone Elanga on the right, Sosa on the left because Hudson-Odoi was most likely to be out. Gibbs White in the 10 and Wood up front. And why are you going for this team?
Yeah, by the way, this is my desired lineup, not necessarily what, because I don't think Nuno will do this. I don't think he'll play Sosa. I think he'll play Elanga on the left and Dominguez on the right. But anyway, this is my team. Well, the back 5 speaks to itself. Leicester aren't going to get past that, are they? I mean, if they haven't got any fast twitch fibers, they've got no chance of getting past them. None whatsoever. I don't know what they.
But can I just ask you? And
Yeah.
is it the best centre back partnership in the Premier League?
Pound for pound.
I think it's got. Yes, it could possibly be one of the best. I wouldn't say any of them was the best because each pair's got different types of players and each play differently in each match. So, but I think they're a very, very good pair. They're very difficult to beat. They contrast each other's styles, and I mean, our record speaks for itself, obviously. But don't discount Aina and Williams either. Williams is the most improved Forest player we've seen for a long time. He's been superb this season. Even in performances where we've disappointed, generally Williams has at least been able to hold his head up. And Aina, I don't know where he's come. Well, I do know. Obviously, I know he's come from, but I don't know where he's been all his career because, wow. Now I don't know your midfield. Remind me using your midfield because I don't really know them.
It'll probably be Wilfred Ndidi and Oliver Skip, most likely.
Okay, well, Skip, I'm sorry, it's going to struggle. That midfield of ours with Sangare and Anderson, they're both like a tackle. Anderson is like a terrier all over the pitch, and they can both pass the ball as well. Sangare's forward passing is exquisite. We've not seen.
And what's happened to Yates? I thought Yates was like captain a while ago, and he was doing quite well.
He's club captain. He may well play. This is my team, not Nuno's.
Okay.
So he may well play. Although Sangare was chosen for the game against Palace, only about his third start of the season.
With the way that the season's gone, right, it looks like this predicted lineup team should have too much for us. So what has gone wrong in the last 4 or 5 games? What isn't working that was working?
Right, you know what? There's a couple of things. One of the things will amaze you and you won't believe me, and that is that Aina's been missing. Because our back four is a superb unit. They all know what each other's doing. They all know where they're going to go. They all know when to attack, when to defend, when to cover. With Aina being out, what it meant was that Williams, who's been superb at left back, had to move over to right back, and we had to bring in another left back, whether that be Harry Toffolo. Mainly it's been a Harry Toffolo, but it was Marino for a little while, and they're just not up to the job. They're not. I'm not saying they're bad players, but they're not on the same level. So that, in effect, changed our entire defence, and that's when we started letting goals in. Now we've got them back now, so I'm hoping that we'll get back to normal. Because it is a very good defence with.
But he doesn't look fully fit for me.
And Wood is Wood like? I'm only joking about fantasy football.
Who doesn't look fully fit?
Aina to me doesn't look.
Aina will be fully fit. I saw him play the other day. He'll be fully fit.
Said it, man. ITK.
Yeah, fully fit.
And what about Wood up front? I know he was so hot earlier in the season.
Hang on. I want to sort out this midfield because I think with skipping midfield, I think they're going to struggle against our midfield with Morgan Gibbs-White.
And when have we dominated a midfield?
Wait a minute, will you just let me say my stuff?
Honestly. Hurry up, go on then.
Fuck me.
You're not missing anything in the football, Wolfie. It's crap. Don't worry.
Right. NGW is not playing well, but what he does give you is energy. Lots and lots and lots of energy. So he'll be around your guys like flies around jam.
Yeah.
Anderson also is incredible, and Sangare we're hoping is going to be the 6 that we need. So that's fine. Up front, Ilanga, Sosa, speed merchants. I hope your left backs are quick and good and reactive. And then Wood. We all know what Wood's done this season.
Yeah, but he's dried up, and you can't deny that.
It's Leicester we're playing.
I'm hoping. If we rewind to the last time we played this season, unfortunately, I'm going to praise Wolfie. Probably the only time all stream I'll do it. He did say one thing clever. Occasionally, he gets you throw enough against the wall, some stick all that. Exactly. But it was that Forest are a classic counter-attack team. So if you want to play possession and if you want to come on to Forest, that's exactly what they want. And Leicester will make the mistake of thinking, we're going to try and control the ball and we're going to spring against you. Now, Ruud traditionally likes to play a bit of possession. I'm hoping that Ruud kind of sets us up in a bit way to sets us up like you guys set up and say, hey, we don't need points. We don't need points for anything. It's on you. It's on you to come and break us down.
Yeah, that's when we struggle. That is very strong. But I don't know if
That's
Riddle
what
will do that.
Brentford
Being a
did,
local derby, I think he might get his blood up and he might want to go for it. Especially as you've got nothing to lose. What's the point?
what Cooper did,
You've
wasn't it?
got nothing to lose.
Cooper
that's
did
what we're
that, didn't he?
Yeah,
Cooper
I told
went
you he
for it.
would. I told you he would.
Yeah, Cooper did it, and that
What-
was
one
that
won
was
at
an
half
easy
time,
game
though.
for us. No, it was an easy game, mate. Yeah, no matter what it was after, that was an easy game.
But we're
It
not
was
playing
easier
how
than
we
were
played when we
expecting.
met you. We're not playing that
Yeah.
level.
Neither are
Definitely
we. We were
Is there
better
any-
then than we are now.
I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference that we actually won a game and we scored a goal at home. I doubt
No,
it, to be
no,
honest. I
No,
doubt
it
it.
doesn't.
No, you
I
beat
doubt
It
it.
Southampton.
actually makes me feel better because that whole haven't scored thing, I was getting a little worried about it.
It was
Old Cocky
Southampton.
draws up there. He comes on cocky, back, on the phone and
He's
that.
a,
Not
My-
the
yeah, he's
cocky.
a,
My
he's a
ser- like I
pussy,
said,
really.
I'm not hating on Forest, but my concern for you, if I was a Forest fan, is that it seems like the recent performances have been kind of relegation. It's like Forest from last season
Yeah.
and the season before,
Yeah.
rather than Forest from this season. And can you refine for those last few games? Like Wolfie's sitting there going,
Full time.
Leicester win, West Ham win, Chelsea, yeah, get a point, all sorted, we're good. It's just,
you're right.
it's just
No, he'd
not.
say Chelsea
it's-
win. He'd say a win.
No, I'm saying draw.
Some of our players are looking
You can't be
tired.
saying win against Chelsea. Surely
No,
not.
Forest. If we win the next two games, if Chelsea beat Newcastle, Forest and I want this
That's
to
all we have
happen
to
just
get.
so it's funny, right? Chelsea and Forest can play out. Do you, you might remember it, Manny, back in the old World Cup days.
1982, Germany versus Austria.
Yeah, they just passed it on the halfway line.
They had a draw because both teams would set them through, and nobody attacked at all. They just kept on. They're like, we're not
I
going to press
knew-
anyone. It was a joke of a game, and
Can
that
you
was one of the
imagine if
reasons.
that happened in the Premier
Yeah.
League on the final day. I'm there for it. I'm there for it. So I ain't a snake, Woolsey, right? I'm just saying it'd be funny, okay? Freaking these Newcastle lot, I swear to God.
It will
So, yeah.
probably look like we're doing that no matter what anyway, the way that we...
That's how we play anyway. We'll just let Chelsea have the ball and nothing
Yeah,
will
we
happen.
just say, give them the ball,
Yeah.
and we'll sit
All
back,
right,
and you have the ball.
let's get some predictions in. Right, Jack, get your predictions in on both channels. We'll bring them up. Luxy, what you saying, bro? How you seeing this one?
I know what he's going to say. He's going to say Desmond.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You always say Desmond.
Two goals against our defence. Are you mad?
I'm actually gonna.
Chelsea.
I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna say something even crazier. I'm gonna say a 1-0 Leicester win. A 1-0 Leicester win. Yeah, Jamie
Not
Vardy
crazy.
with his
Trust me,
200.
that's not crazy at the moment.
Yeah, I think it will happen. I think he'll get his 200th, and I think it'll be against Forest. So, yeah, it might sound a bit. It probably sounds crazy to Leicester fans than it does to Forest fans, actually. But yeah, 1-0 Leicester win. Vardy.
See, I like the idea of Vardy getting his 200. I don't mind if it's, but I have these visions seeing him trying to run against Murillo or Milenkovic. I can't see it. I just can't.
It'll be more like a dive in the box, and he'll win a penalty.
Oh.
You know,
Yes.
he'll leave his leg hanging out. He'll kick the defender, keeping
He
his
is
legs
good at
straight,
that.
and then
He is
he'll go
good.
down, win a penalty. He's the master at that. It looks like the defender kicked him. Actually, he kicked the defender. It's genius.
The
Very
problem
smart.
though, the problem if that happens though is there will be a bunch of happy clappers online saying that Ruud van Nistelrooy should stay next season. That's what will happen. They're already doing it. We beat Southampton, and there's people saying, "Oh well, actually, Ruud van Nistelrooy, he might be a good choice for next year." I'm like,
He
"Oh,
might
Speaking
be
of-
right in the championship.
Hey,
He might be
speaking of
right.
next year, Vardy's looking for a club. Do you fancy, an experienced second striker as a backup for
Mate,
Wood next
we've
season?
already got a 33-year-old. I don't need Chris Wood to be our young up-and-coming striker, mate. Seriously.
I was gonna say, imagine that
Would you-
Vardy and Wood at Forest. Jesus Christ.
Might help having a winner in the room. Like they're just buying old Leicester players.
in the league.
Would you say seriously, if he was on a free, would you take him for 1 year?
You couldn't pay me. You couldn't pay me.
How
How
I
many
love-
Premier League goals has he got this season, Manny? How many Premier League goals?
Imagine the shithousery
Got
you
eight.
guys would love
8
it.
goals.
He's got 8 in the league this season.
He's got 8 in the league this season, mate. That's probably making him your second highest scorer this season.
No, actually, it might do. It might do.
I think it does. I think it does.
Hey, you know what I found out last night? I didn't realise. I didn't find out.
I'm just giving you a scores, Ant, man. My bag's full.
Hang on. This one. See, if you're not interrupted, I'd have been done by now. Milenkovic is the highest scoring defender in the Premier League.
Who?
Milenkovic.
Thanks for that.
got
I'll sleep
5.
better tonight.
Yeah. Well,
Stop picking on her. Help the aged. Will you be nice to him? Why are you being so horrible to him all the
next
time?
to each other, the old farts at the bottom. So
Yeah, exactly. Be like, hold on. I'm definitely younger than you.
I'm 23, mate.
23.
Hey,
if you remember the 82
23.
World Cup,
23.
right? I wasn't even born, so you're older than me, man.
Oh, I am older than you then.
23 when he was born, it'd be closer to his real age.
No, I'm just saying, Manny remembers the 82 World Cup. I wasn't even born, right?
I'm a student of football.
I remember
I
the
do,
1978 European Cup
here we go.
final.
All right, Manny, score predictions.
European Cup final and the European Cup final.
A draw, 1-1.
1-1. Fucking hell, you lot are so deluded, man.
Not because we are good, because we are crap, but I just think you guys are playing our crap level at the moment. If you guys go back to what you were doing earlier in the season, then it should be an easy 2-3-0 win for Forest. But that Forest team, I haven't seen them for a couple of months, and I don't think they're coming back.
If you ever find yourself single, Manny, I'm just saying, Daniel here.
It's my Everton homeboy. It's all right.
I agree with Matt. I think this isn't who wins, it's how much. And we need some goal difference, though.
You don't learn, do you? You said the text. I warned you before Brentford. It's exactly the same, Wolfie.
You warned me before we played.
I warned you, don't get too cocky. Don't get too cocky.
What makes it worse, man, is that I have to catch all the flack from this. And then afterwards, he'll say, I'm shitting it. We're going to fucking lose. I know we are. You know,
you have to be the yin to the yang because he loses the plot, gets too carried away.
I'm holding the fort down against all the Cartel 6, man. That's what I'm saying. All right, listen, guys. It's been a cracking stream. It's only meant to...
No, that's me.
Oh, fucking gone. What are you gonna predict?
Well, I can't see Leicester scoring. I'm sorry, but I just can't see him scoring. So I think it's going to either be 1-0 to Forest.
Yes.
Or it could be another Brighton scenario.
Come on, Bilbao. Come on, Bilbao. Make my
Brighton.
night.
What happened in the Brighton game again?
We won 7-0.
It won't happen. It can't happen.
Don't worry. With 33% possession.
We'll get one of these Leicester fans on the pitch again at the City Ground smacking.
Yeah, don't worry. I will tell you, we were sitting together at 5-0. I was still nervous, man. I'm not
Is Hudson-Odoi out, by the way? Is he?
Yeah, he's out.
Yeah.
For the season.
Yeah.
Because that Sosa looks a bit average.
Yeah,
that Sosa's pretty budget.
He's not been playing at his best for a little while. Hudson-Odoi.
I'll leave it with this. It's like every time I hate on a footballer, they always score against my team. So I look at Sosa and I think you're garbage, mate. So guaranteed that he's going to score.
Well done. Thanks for that.
You should have seen me and Nketiah, man. I was like, don't let him near my club. When he scored the offside one the other day.
Tony, he's terrible.
Well, historically, Chris Wood, because he obviously used to play for us. I think when he played for Burnley, he scored quite a few times against us. So he
scored quite a few already this season against you as well.
Hat-trick against Newcastle. He
scored 2 against them at Filbert Street, not Filbert Street, bloody King Power. King Power, didn't he? Today,
he loves a goal. Yeah, he loves a goal against it. He'll score another one. Yeah.
All right, we'll call it there. Make sure you subscribe over. Honestly, we have so much fun with these boys, and yeah, Chappie, we're never doing shit with you again because you're gonna be in the MLS. You're useless. Please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We're back tomorrow on our channel with my preview for the game, boys. What you got going on tomorrow from your end?
Well, this was our preview. No match preview tomorrow, but we've got a video coming out tomorrow. But yeah, the main one will be the watch along on Saturday. So we'll be trading blows again, I'm sure. On Saturday.
This could be fun. It's on
Sunday,
so
if you want some interesting, funny, high quality debate, watch the watch along on Bleeds and Tig Glasses rather than Forest Fan TV. All you Forest fans,
I'll be sending my lot there when we score.
You won't see Wolfie talking about a 10-0 wins. You'll get some real decent analysis.
All right. We will see you guys tomorrow. They'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Come on, Bilbao. Come on, you friends.
Come on, Bodo. You Reds.